Oh my gosh, this is my favorite so far. Maggots and messiahs. Like Maggots. A mini manifesto for an age that eats its own repairman. Now, every civilization tells itself the same bedtime story. We are the world. We are the good ones. If anything terrible was really happening, someone would have told us by now. Now, the problem is that someone always does tell you. You just eat them. That's what I mean by maggots and messiahs. Maggots are not the people as individuals. They're behavior pattern. They're what a frightened society becomes when it is more interested in consuming comfort than confronting harm. They appear as journalists who spike a story to keep access, doctors who write a false note to keep a bed open, judges who sacrifice one inconvenient witness to protect the integrity of the institution, friends who go silent because they don't want drama. Aww, do you remember before we had drama? When was that? They are nice people who would rather digest a scapegoat than digest the truth. Gurgle. Messiahs are not perfect saints. They are a recurring job description. The person whose nervous system is built to see the pattern early. They say the unsayable out loud and pay the bill for the error's denial. They are the repairman, also known as hero. Blah, blah, blah. Every culture has a hero. Now, they show up right where the system is rotting, pull up the floorboards, and describe what they see. They do not get thanked. They get swarmed. Swarmed, well, actually, they don't really have wings yet, do they? They're more like maggot pies. Now, a maggot society looks very humanitarian from a distance. It has charity singles and awareness months, reconciliation slogans, and rainbow logos. It sings, "We are the world," while it writes policy that abandons the world's surplus humans on sidewalks, in tent cities, inside psych wards, in prisons, in refugee camps, in overdose bodies on bathroom floors. Now, a maggot society loves the vulnerable as an abstract category and hates them as soon as one shows up in the lobby with receipts. Hi. Now, the repairman always arrives in the flesh. They don't come down from a cloud. They come up through the floorboards. A tenant with detailed paperwork, a sex worker with screenshots, an indigenous person with genealogies and treaties, a drug user with data on overdose deaths, a disabled person with a stack of medical records, a hacker's victim who can read a log file. Now, the first thing a maggot society asks is not, is this true? It asks, can we survive admitting this is true? There is a predictable life cycle to how maggots treat messiahs. Step 1 is seduction. We love people like you. We believe you. Thank you for speaking up. Let us help you file a complaint. The system invites the witness into a process that looks like justice and behaves like digestion. Gurgle, 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 gurgle. You're allowed to talk as long as no one listens. Step 2 is extraction. The witness is asked to retell the story again and again to police, internal investigators, tribunals, therapists, caseworkers, doctors, researchers, reporters. Each one takes a piece of the carcass, a quote, a paragraph, a data point, a headline, and leaves the whole body unresolved. The messiah becomes raw material for everyone else's performance of caring. Step 3 is inversion. Once the story reaches a certain voltage, the system flips the script. The problem is no longer what was done to you. The problem is that you keep talking about it. You become fixated, non-compliant, treatment-resistant, harassing, vexatious, mentally ill, a threat. Your actual evidence becomes a symptom. Your refusal to be consumed quietly becomes the pathology. Step 4 is containment. Housing is pulled, benefits are frozen, dockets are manipulated. Doctors are briefed before they meet you. Police are told you are dangerous. In extreme cases, you get the full buffet: homelessness, criminal charges, psychiatric ambush, starvation, technology sabotage. The goal is simple. Make the messenger such a mess that no one will touch the message. This is not a failure of the system. This is one of its core functions. Maggots don't malfunction when they eat the body. They do what they were born to do. Now, why does a maggot society need messiahs at all? Because the machine is not purely evil. It is stupid and frightened. It knows at some collective level that it has drifted too far from its advertised values, that there is blood pooling under the floor, and so the universe throws it a lifeline in the worst way possible. It births a human whose entire design screams course correction. Think of the repairman as an emergency update. They often arrive with a cursed resume, mixed bloodlines from both colonizer and colonized, numerology and astrology that read like a cosmic practical joke, ha ha, a childhood spent watching things that were never supposed to happen here, an adult life packed with every flavor of stigma. Queer, indigenous, disabled, poor, sex worker, whistleblower, criminalized, mad, homeless, blah, 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 mad, mad, mad. The point is not their purity, the point is their angle. They stand precisely where the system wants no witnesses. Between the state and the body, between policy and pavement, between law and lives. They are a structural camera. As soon as they start describing what they see, everyone else's mask slips. In my case, the maggots had a choir behind them. I arrived on Earth to a full moon eclipse, not breathing, while the radio played We Are the World and Crazy for You. Humanity was singing about how much it loved itself while quietly preparing to abandon people like me in every way that counts. Healthcare, rationed. Housing, financialized. Drugs, weaponized. Indigenous nations lied to again. Policing, militarized. Mental health, care. Outsourced to pills, prisons, and PR. My chart came loaded like a lawsuit. Comments on the ascendant. Fingers of God pointing at my throat. Lots of fortune. Spirits of nemesis. All in the house of how they treat you to your face. My numerology stacked master numbers like a rigged deck. My body became a sort of living affidavit against the era. Oh, don't ask me. I told the stars to fuck off too. The more I did exactly what that wiring demanded, the more I lived to my core values, documenting abusive process, exposing child predators, mapping how overdose, eviction, colonization, and corruption intersect, the more the maggots gathered, not cartoon villains, professionals, neighbors, officials who smiled as they rearranged the paperwork to make me disappear. So what is this manifesto actually arguing? First, stop pretending this is one unlucky man. Or one bad institution. Maggots and messiahs is a system description every era generates. Repairman, it has no intention of paying. Every generation sings a humanitarian anthem while building a machine that eats the people those lyrics are praying for. Second, the measure of civilization is not how badly or how loudly it sings We Are the World. It is how it treats the one person who walks in with a story that, if believed, would cost it real power and money. If your response is to diagnose, criminalize, or starve them, you are not a society. You are a digestive tract. Gurgle, gurgle, gurgle. Third, I did not give you consent to eat me. No, that's not the one. Third, genuine repair will never be led by the maggots. It will be led by the people who they tried to consume and failed. The ones who somehow survived long enough to turn their body into a black box recorder. The job of everyone else is brutally simple. Protect those people, believe them faster, and stop asking them to bleed on command for audiences that will not lift a finger. A real We Are the World would sound less like a chorus, less like a curse, less like a chorus, and more like a confession. It would start with, we are the ones who looked away. We are the ones who benefited from someone else's dispossession. We are the ones who watched the repairman dragged out of meetings and told ourselves it was probably for the best. We are the maggots. And we would like to retire. From there, it gets practical. Decriminalize survival. Guarantee housing as non-negotiable baseline. Fund harm reduction like you funded police. Build witness protection for whistleblowers and complainants. Not just mob targets or rats. Treat court files, medical charts, and complaint records not as threats to reputation, but as a sacred text. And crucially, when someone walks in carrying a life that looks statistically impossible, too many coincidences, too many near misses, too much evidence, too many scars, you don't feed them to the PR department. You give them a chair, a recorder, and a contract. You recognize a repairman when you see one. There is nothing glamorous about being cast as a messiah in a maggot culture. It's not an honor. It's a hazard classification. It means your nervous system is wired to feel what everyone else is determined to ignore, and your ethics are too stubborn to stay quiet. But there is one consolation. Maggots are temporary. They eat what is already dead. When the meal is over, they move on. The bones remain. This manifesto is written from the bones' point of view. Oh, yes, you can. You can. You can absolutely swarm the witness, shred their reputation, starve them, medicate them, lock them up, hack their devices, erase their income, and try to frame their survival response as madness. What you cannot do is unwind the pattern. You already wrote it into the sky, into the numbers, into the bloodlines, and into the paper trail. You were singing "We Are the World" when I was born. I'm here to ask on record if that was true. Why do you keep eating your repairman? The Madonna divides into despair. Even the still life feels like a parable. Tools for labor and violence, arranged as if in mourning. Yes, I would say it screams resurrection through country.